Hello, lovely people. It's Victoria. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Oh my god, that curtain clip is going to drive me insane. So I'm not going to be in the center of the screen, but I'm going to be in the center of the tree, and that is what matters to me. So today is a very special day. If you happen to follow me on Instagram, you might know that today is my 5-month anniversary of being dry from alcohol, and I'm really fucking proud of myself. I told myself that I was gonna give myself a break from like working on my record or really like doing anything that I didn't want to do except for a few little like chores and things like that. But I wanted to just film something fun and lighthearted, and I really do like talking about movies. I've kind of had a list of videos I've been wanting to make for a while, and a lot of them involve talking about different movies. So this movie is very special to me. It's like a core childhood movie. And I wrote this script a while ago. The script is definitely super all over the place, and I haven't read over it. So this is like kind of spur of the moment. Like, we're just gonna kind of go with it. But I wrote the script a few months ago, and at the beginning part of this year, especially like April to June-ish, I was in a big nostalgic movie phase. I think it was like, if you watch my Spring Has Been Intense video, there was a lot of things happening. A lot of like death and just like really intense emotions, and my dog passed away and just a lot of things. So I was watching a lot of like comforting movies. At first I was on like a major Disney kick. I was actually on that even before all this shit went down. I was on like a major Disney kick, and then it was like a mini Barbie movie kick, animated only, of course. I've actually only seen the live action one twice in theaters, and I don't really go back to it too often. That's probably a hot take, but then it got to other childhood movies that I've really loved, and I basically was like rewatching the same 3 Hilary Duff movies like incessantly. It was this movie, A Cinderella Story, and the 2 Cheaper by the Dozen movies. And I did not realize how many thoughts and feelings and opinions I have about A Cinderella Story, or just so many observations or things that I just needed to talk about from, you know, now being an adult. And my main conclusion is just like, wow, Austin Ames is trash. This dude that's supposed to be like the heartthrob, you know, desirable guy of the movie, I was like, wow, she deserves so much better than him, and he's supposed to be this prize that we're like happy we get at the end. Garbage. So we're just gonna kind of go through some random like bullet points that I've written down. This is going to be mostly following the plot of the movie, but it might be kind of all over the place. It also will not really have a comprehensive summary of the plot of the movie. This is kind of just like things that I've noticed. So if you have not seen it, you might be kind of confused, but hopefully we can kiki and have fun together anyway. Also, side note, hi, I'm Victoria. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I also make a wide variety of content. I basically talk about whatever I want to talk about when I feel like talking about it. But vast majority is like covers, and I'm working on this EP that I really, really am planning on having done within the next couple of weeks. I'm actually really close to being done with it. I'm super excited about it. But yeah, I make like commentary videos. I talk about movies, YouTubers I like, and I also make like personal story time, vlog type things, a lot of which recently has been talking about my sobriety journey. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing, because I would like to think we have fun here. And I make videos on a very irregular schedule. But I tend to post short form content semi-regularly. I've been doing outfit of the days pretty much when I remember to. I try to do it like every time that I work, but a lot of times I'll like forget to do it either before or after. So, I have something in my eye. And little tiny disclaimer, I said this in my Lilo and Stitch movie. I don't think you're probably still here if you're one of these people, but if you're going to comment, it's just a movie, it's not that deep, please just leave. I'm aware it's just a movie. I'm aware this didn't literally happen to people, but I tend to think and care deeply about the media that I like. So if you're like that too, come, let's have some fun and get way too emotionally involved about A Cinderella Story and observations and thoughts I have about it. So first off, Sam's dad is presented as this like hero that is like this fallen hero at the beginning because he passes away in this earthquake, and she says he was like her best friend and just amazing, and she was so lucky to have him and all this stuff. But then I just like really have a problem. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass, but like I just have a problem believing that like anyone that's that good of a parent would not be able to pick up on the fact that their spouse fucking hates their child. Like, is Fiona just supposed to be like the best actress in the entire world? I feel this way about the original Cinderella too. It's like, how are these dads supposedly so amazing and they love their daughter so much, but they are just completely oblivious to the fact that their wife hates their child? It's just supposed to be this whole like, oh, men just are so oblivious and they just don't have a clue and they just done it. I mean, is she really that good of an actress? The freaking thing where she dropped the flowers on their wedding day was like, oh, one's enough. Like, were you really that good of a dad? I'm sorry. Were you really that good of a dad? I kind of call bullshit. I wrote, like, maybe he's supposed to be a helplessly clueless man because we're just playing into the joke that men are clueless. I don't even know, but in my opinion, he kind of seems like a terrible dad. So then, like, her dad's telling her the story, and he gives all these platitudes about, like, if you work hard and you have a dream and you work for it, then dreams can come true, and then gives her this idea that she ends up wanting to go to Princeton because she's like, where do princesses go to college? And he's like, they go where the princes go. They go to Princeton. And then he ends up dying trying to save Fiona in the earthquake, but they don't actually really talk about what happens, like how they end up dying, but how he ends up dying, but Fiona ends up surviving, even though they are assumedly in the same spot in the house during this earthquake. The logistics of that are not explored, but he passes away, and she says she lost her best friend. I just don't think he was shown to be a very good father, but you know, it's a brief exposition. Then we jump ahead 8 years. Sam is, living in the attic of her house, and she has her only friend in the world is her best friend Carter, and we are, I think, told, like, okay, we're told that this is happening in the San Fernando Valley. I didn't realize that is in Los Angeles. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but Carter's parents gave him 3 cars. He was talking about, Sam is in this beautiful Mustang, by the way, this great car, and the whole thing throughout this movie is she's like, I drive a beat up old car. She drives a fine car. This is like if I remember correctly, it's like a vintage Mustang, and she's all like acting like this is some freaking junker. So I don't know a lot about cars, so maybe it really isn't that great, but like, it's a decent car. And he's all like, Dad, don't you feel so bad for me having to go to school in this car? And he goes, no, I feel bad for the 3 cars we got you that you totaled. This bitch's parents got him 3 cars. And I guess that, like, kind of makes sense if you look in retrospect, like, this might be, like, privileged LA culture or something. They kind of seem like everyday working class families, but the fact that these people's parents got him 3 cars, I could not get over that. That's also parental failure, by the way. But it also kind of makes sense when you consider how much they make fun of Sam for working in a diner. Like, a big thing is that they call her diner girl. And I really don't, at first I was like, are we really just making fun of the fact that she has a job? But then, like, Austin has a job working at his dad's car wash, and that's never made fun of. But then again, maybe it's just not made fun of because he is popular and he's Austin Ames, so we're not going to make fun of him for everything. But I wonder, like, is the joke that she has a job, or is it that she, like, has a job in food service and that's supposed to be, like, such a loser thing to do? Like, if she worked this is in, like, 2004, so if she worked somewhere cool, like Abercrombie and Fitch or somewhere, I wonder if that would have been fine, or if they still would have made fun of her because they're just jealous of the fact that she's, like, smart and pretty, or just she's smart in general, so therefore she's a nerd and a loser and she deserves to be made fun of. I don't even know. Or maybe it's, like, because Austin works at his dad's car wash, it's not made fun of because he just, like, has to work for his dad instead of, like, needing to work to get by. I don't know. Like, why is that not made fun of more? Maybe it's just, like, you work in food service, so therefore you're a loser. I don't even know. Then they arrive at school, and then they get approached by this dude, Terry, who is, like, the sci-fi nerd. I'm going to jump kind of way ahead for a second to just, like, spoil the fact that we never find out what happened to Terry. I realized this when I was recently watching this. They do this whole, at the end, this is what happened to everybody, and I'm like, okay, but what happened to Terry? We never find out what happened to him, even though, like, he's actually very, from what I remember, he's very nice to Sam. And also at the dance when she and Austin end up together, he was just, like, he bows out very gracefully and he just takes the L like a champ and he walks away. And I'm like, I wish that Terry got more of a resolution, because he was kind of, like, he was just kind of a slay. I wanted to see, like, all his dreams come true. Okay, then we get into the chat room thing because Sam has a secret admirer, and they talk all the time, and I guess they've been talking for weeks or months or whatever, and they met on this Princeton chat room. But the really confusing thing is the way in which they speak, because we see them communicate through like 4 different mediums. We see them text, we see them on like IM, in this like other I think like AOL and emails, and they refer to it as a bunch of I think Sam just collectively refers to them as emails, but it's also texting, and maybe it's like the chat room on the phone, but like for 2004 I feel like that's kind of advanced, like for to have internet on your cell phone to where you're like talking in a chat room on your phone. But then also texting was pretty expensive still at that time too. So I'm so confused at how they are they actually communicating through like 4 different things, or it's like it appears to be 4 different modes of communication, but it's all just emails somehow. That was so confusing to me. These messages translate to like 3 different things simultaneously. That was like a big question mark to me. But pretty much Austin is emotionally cheating on his girlfriend, Shelby Cummings, but it's okay because Shelby is an awful person, apparently. It's okay that he's emotionally cheating because he's choosing to be with a terrible person. So he gets to escape the consequences of his own actions rather than choosing to break up with said terrible person, because we're supposed to believe that he is aware that she's a bad person and he's not like her. But again, it's like, why are we supposed to be rooting for these men that choose to surround themselves with terrible partners and don't cut themselves off from them, but they're like victims of their own making. They're victims of their own decisions, and instead of actually dealing with it, they're just gonna like emotionally cheat on them. But okay. I imagine the subtext is that he doesn't like Shelby and he's like actually a good guy, and he's just choosing to be with her because she's popular and he just needs to get by with the social currency. But it's like, why are we supposed to see you as this like helpless dude who's actually a good guy, but you're watching your girlfriend openly bully people and you do nothing and you sit there passively, even though you also are popular and you have power and social currency that you could be able to stop it without necessarily being seen as a loser. But we're supposed to just like feel bad for you for being a bystander. Gotcha. So they send messages talking about their lives, feeling out of place, feeling, pressure put upon them, feeling like they don't belong. And Austin like literally recites poetry to her and then asks her to meet him at the upcoming Halloween homecoming dance in the middle of the dance floor. Also, I wrote this so out of order, but back in the other scene where Shelby's making fun of Sam and being like, no geeks, the white zone's for cool people only, no geeks, which you could read a lot into that statement. But anyway, when Carter's saying like, oh, you thought they didn't know you existed, blah, blah, you hear just in the chatter in the background of them making fun of Sam, some remark ends with that hat, when she's literally wearing an LA baseball hat. And y'all live in LA. You're making fun of her for wearing a hat that just has the city that you all live in. Like, you are pulling at straws here. Or grasping at straws, whatever the phrase is. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, I don't know what LA culture is like and if people actually like wear stuff like that. But like, I feel like that's the equivalent of making fun of someone for wearing merch for a school that you both go to and are like actively present at the time that you are making fun of the person. Then later on, we get shown very explicitly how Austin just has like no control of his life. And his dad is just such a like stereotypical archetype of the controlling father living vicariously through his son, and is just like, your future's set. He tries to be like, maybe I don't want to go to that school, and he's like, well, of course you want to go to that school. Why would you even need to think about any other option? Because we all know exactly what you're going to do, which is what I want you to do, which is what I told you you're going to do for your entire life, and there's no reason for you to think anything else. So it's just so in your face, like, I'm just writing your future for you and you have absolutely no say, and I'm going to be so confused when you tell me later that you feel like you have no say, and all this shit. Like, it's so blatant. Hello, I'm back. I went to the bathroom and made some tea. Personal tea recommendation, I love Tension Tamer from Celestial Seasonings. So also the past couple months I've just become such a tea person. That's like my new that's my default de-stressing relaxation drink these days. That and LaCroix and orange juice. Y'all know I am a giant LaCroix fan. Okay, so back to Austin. Basically, his dad is just the living, breathing archetype of the controlling dad living vicariously through his kid. And I do kind of understand Austin's suffering, because he wants to like be a writer and be a creative person and go to an Ivy League school, and his dad wants him to go to a still very great school, USC, that's still like one of the top schools in the country, but then run a car wash with him. Like, that's what he wants for his son's life, is to run the car wash that he founded in the town that his son grew up in. Like, I would be suffering too, but I don't know if that excuses you just being a voiceless bystander to your peers' awful behavior. Then, completely unrelated, but my other big question is, how does Fiona get away with so explicitly violating labor laws? Honestly, like, I need a featurette about, like, if she is some kind of, like, fraudster, megamind type situation who's, like, I don't know how she's, like, cooking the books or what the hell she's doing to get away with working Sam so hard. Like, how we see in a scene where Sam says that she works 7 days a week. How the hell does she get away with working this person who I'm assuming is a minor? I'm assuming she's 17, but she is a senior in high school, so maybe she's 18. How the hell is she getting away with working this girl 7 days a week? And you, like, I imagine she's doing overtime. I imagine she's, like, well into overtime. But she's probably not even getting her overtime. I imagine she's probably scamming her out of that. And also, like, at her beck and call. Like, to the point where the day of the Halloween homecoming day, and she can be like, oh, just drop what you're doing and go to the diner and close. We need you to close and work the night shift and just, like, do it now. Like, I know she's, like, evil, but, like, what spell does she have the Department of Labor under to get away with that? Or is she just, like, working off the clock? Like, what kind of other laws is she breaking to finagle this situation? I mean, I get it though, because I also had my labor exploited as a teenager. I remember when I was 17 and I was working at the first of two stints that I had working for this fast food franchise that was absolutely miserable to work for, and I finally, like, got out of there a little over a month ago. Freedom has never tasted so sweet. But my first stint working for them when I was 17, the day that they opened, because I was working at a location that had just opened, I literally worked a 13-hour day. I will never forget, I was in there at 9 a.m. and I didn't get to leave until, like, everything was done at, like, 10:30 p.m. And I don't know how they got away with that, but I also, like, I can guarantee you I did not get the proper breaks. Even if it was legal for me to be working a shift that long, I can guarantee you I did not get the proper breaks that are required for a shift that long. I'm talking, like, so fast. This is what happens when I'm not completely just sedating the hell out of myself with weed on a constant basis, and I'm like, I feel so passionately about this. I was scheduled for, like, an 8-hour day, but maybe 9, but I was there for 13 and, like, just wasn't allowed to leave until everything was done. So I get how it can happen, but I'm confused. And maybe because it's, like, a small business, maybe it's easier for that kind of shit to go over with. Again, we're thinking about this on a very real level. But yeah, I wish that they had added that more in the backstory of, like, what kind of wool is she pulling over people's eyes to not catch a case? I don't get it. I mean, obviously, maybe Sam would have to, like, file a complaint in order for that to even become a thing, and she's not going to do that because Fiona was kind of her meal ticket at that point. And I'm no longer working for that company, and I might make a video talking about what a horrible experience I had working for that company on both occasions. But that is, like, not super positive vibes, and so I don't know if I'll really get around to doing it. And I also don't want to be, like, I was thinking of titling it, like, why no one should ever work for this company, but I can't necessarily speak to every single experience that, like, every person will have working at every single store of this company, but just the two experiences I had that happened to be in different states were both horrible. So yeah, but I'm not trying to catch a case from this major corporation. So anyway, back to the story. Oh yeah, it's when Fiona's, like, at the diner and she's saying she'll be back at 12 sharp, and then she leaves, and then the Elvis guitar on the wall acts weird. It kind of, like, jolts or whatever, and I guess it's supposed to be, like, foreshadowing of some kind of force that's gonna come through, or maybe it's her dad's ghost. I really don't know. They don't really explain, like, what that is, or maybe it's just the force from the door being shut. And I feel like it's presented to us like it's supposed to be some kind of, like, spiritual sign from her dad or whatever, but that was a little, that happens. It kind of like jolts against the door. I'm not sure if it happened when the door was closed and that made it happen, or if it just happened on its own, and again, supposed to be like spooky, scary stuff. Sam has to serve the table of Austin and Shelby and their friends, and Shelby is awful to Sam again in front of Austin, and he does nothing again because he is just a poor, voiceless, super popular, super privileged dude that doesn't say anything about the horrible behavior of his peers, but we're supposed to believe that he's a decent person. This is also like the third time that Austin and Sam interact in this movie, and it's going to be like the second or third of many interactions that they're going to have throughout this movie, and that is important for later. So Austin decides to, well, he tries basically to break up with Shelby, and she decides to just reject that, and she decides that they're going through a rough patch and tells him to chill out and she'll see him later, and just just refuses his breakup, basically. So I'm intrigued as to what her expectations were after that encounter. How if she expected him to still treat her like his girlfriend because she refused to be broken up with. Also, I didn't notice this much at the time, but I actually really liked how the Carter-Rhonda interaction that happens right after this, where Carter keeps calling Rhonda girlfriend when Rhonda is trying to hype up Sam, and then she just kind of checks him and is like, call me girlfriend one more time, and he's like, okay, I'm sorry. And this is when he's also like, in the beginning, he's auditioning for this role of, I guess, like a gangster rapper hip-hop type dude, and so he like slips in and out of a black scent, and there's like a lot of cultural appropriation going on with Carter, and so I kind of appreciated that moment where Rhonda checks him and he just goes back to, also when he's calling her girlfriend, he's like, young girlfriend, like he also has a black scent, and then he just like goes back to his regular accent and just stops. I actually really I liked that. Also, as an adult, I started to try to more directly see the references to the original Cinderella story, so I feel like Rhonda is obviously like her fairy godmother, and then I think Carter and also the other staff at the diner are like the mice and the birds. That's what I think. I also I just love Sam and Carter's friendship. I really do, and I love that they keep it platonic throughout the whole thing. I really like the choice of giving her a male best friend and not even like making it a love triangle thing, like not making him have unrequited feelings for her, like not making it a weird, like he's secretly in love with her but encourages what, like I just love that they didn't add a romantic dynamic to it and they're just purely best friends. Even when he says that thing to her on the dance floor, I think he says something like, any guy would be crazy to not be happy that it's you, like something like that. And it's just genuinely sweet, and it's just a friend being sweet to his best friend. Like, I just really liked how they handled that dynamic, especially for 2004. Okay, so they finally meet. At first Terry just happens to approach her, and I guess also doesn't recognize that it's Sam. I don't know, but they're dancing together, and she thinks that he's nomad, and he kind of plays along with it, like, yes, I am nomad. I have traveled through space and time. Like, he tries to go with the bit, and they dance, and then he goes and gets drinks, and she's like, I knew this was too good to be true. But then Austin comes up, and then I feel like she's actually like I feel like she's low-key more disappointed in Austin being nomad than she would have been if it was actually Terry. And she was willing to stay and wait for Terry to come back with drinks. I actually like, this is so funny to me, but the second she finds out it's Austin, that's when she's straight up like, I gotta go. I gotta go. Then Austin's like, wait, no, like, let me be the guy that I think you think I am, and would you like to go for a stroll outside? Because again, he's a romantic, even though he doesn't fucking say shit when it comes to standing up to his bully ass friends, even though he's also popular. But he's a gentleman, guys. He's a gentleman, we promise. Tea is so good when you put a shit ton of honey in it. So they go outside and they start playing 20 questions, and then Austin asks this question of like, would you rather have a rice cake or a Big Mac? And she's all like, a Big Mac, what does it matter? And he goes, I like a girl with a hearty appetite, and you also eliminated about half the girls in our class. It's just some not like other girls shit about like having a Big Mac. But me personally, I would have chosen a rice cake just because I think McDonald's is disgusting. I didn't really have McDonald's past when I was like 10 years old, and I guess that's just a thing. I was raised by like a food snob, so that might just be a me thing, but like I would have a good burger over a rice cake, but I would pick a rice cake over a Big Mac. Like, I do not want to have a McDonald's hamburger. That shit would just freak me the fuck out. And then also, this movie just incorporates such Hannah Montana syndrome, even though Hannah Montana had not come out yet. But just the idea that, like, we're pretending that a mask or a wig just completely hides everyone else's, like, every other feature. Like, we're just masking height. We don't see hair color. We don't see face shape. We don't see eye color. We don't see any distinguishing features because we have a mask that covers like 1/3 of our face. And I know there's like the suspended disbelief or whatever, and we're just supposed to go with it, but I also love the detail of that he points out her eyes and says she has such beautiful eyes, but then will go on to completely not recognize her, and it just makes me feel like he is such a fuckboy. Like, he's acting like he has this deep connection with her, but he literally could not pick her out of a lineup with, like, once her entire face is revealed. I was like, you didn't recognize those eyes? You didn't recognize her fucking blonde hair, her fucking body type, height, everything? Like, oh my god, he's such a fuckboy. Part 3, people. Okay, I just heated up my tea. It's so good. Alright. So anyway, Carter saves Shelby from being sexually harassed by Austin's friend, who, I imagine even if Austin literally did witness David doing this, he probably still wouldn't have done anything because he is a spineless piece of shit. But he's supposed to be a gentleman, but like, I wonder if he would be if he saw his ex-girlfriend doesn't think she's your ex-girlfriend getting sexually harassed by your friend. I feel like you still wouldn't stand up to your friend, but maybe I'm wrong. Then Austin and Sam dance in a cute gazebo with a trio of accompanists hanging back after clearly playing a wedding, and I just thought that was super cute. This movie has a really good soundtrack, by the way. I love the soundtrack. Lots of like early 2000s kind of alt rock-ish. So Sam and Austin are about to kiss, but then her phone goes off. She has to grab Carter, who's making out with Shelby, who feels the need to reward him for treating her as deserving of basic respect and not being sexually harassed. But since they're both wearing masks, Shelby doesn't know who Carter is, and Austin obviously doesn't know who Sam is. And I know that the whole, like, who is Cinderella thing was, like, a bit, but I actually thought it was interesting of... Okay, we're jumping around. But later on, when he's looking for Cinderella, and then his friends have this whole thing of having a bunch of girls say that they were Cinderella, a girl steps up that actually looks quite a bit like Sam. Like, she's blonde, they are probably similar height, similar body type, everything. Steps up, and that's when Austin steps up and they're like, oh my god, enough, like, you're beautiful, but I'm not your prince, I swear. And it's so funny considering how oblivious he is to Sam's actual features, and literally, like, is like looking at her and completely does not see that it's Cinderella. So it's funny that a girl that conceivably could have been Cinderella comes up and he's immediately like, no, that's not her. I thought that was an interesting detail. There's also a joke in there about Miss Wells having a really creepy attraction to one of Austin's friends. I forget his name. Brian. So back to the night of the dance, they're heading back, which, by the way, it's so freaking wild considering they're in LA. The fact that they set the alarm for 11:45 when Sam had to be back at 12, and it's a whole ass drive away at probably like a Friday or Saturday in LA at around midnight. Like, why would you not give yourself like at least 30 minutes? Like, that is setting yourself up for failure. Even if it's like a short-ish distance, why would you do that? But then Carter's driving Sam to the diner, and he is obviously trying to treat this car really well, but they're driving, and all of these cars are honking at Carter and going around him super dramatically. Sam's like, can you please step on it? And Carter says that he's going 38 in a 35. And at first I was like, where in the world would you get that kind of reaction from other people going 38 and a 35? And then you remember that they're in LA, and apparently that makes just a lot more sense. Obviously, Fiona is super cruel to Sam throughout this movie, but I love that her cruelty is balanced out by little karmic moments. Because I don't know if I mentioned it, but earlier Sam says that she really wants to go to the dance, and Fiona just says she's not very pretty and not very bright. So then there are the karmic moments, like when Brianna, I think, gets her foot stuck on the gas pedal, and then they like almost kill a bunch of people and they almost die, and they're like just accelerating through all this traffic. I don't understand, again, the suspended disbelief of how she gets her foot stuck on the gas pedal and isn't able to move it when she clearly has a bunch of space around her foot and is able to move it at the last minute, but whatever. And the fact that they didn't get cursed out, at least, by anyone after that stunt was crazy. And then afterward, so the next day they go to school, and Sam's all like, he's forgotten all about Cinderella, and Austin clearly hasn't, and he's putting up flyers being like, are you Cinderella? Please contact Austin Ames. And his friends are like, why are you going to all this trouble for one girl? And he's all like, she wasn't just any girl, she was real. And again, the fucking not like other girls thing of like, she cares more than about what she wears and how much weight she wants to lose. And it's like, okay, maybe she's so appealing to you because you've literally only been around your awful girlfriend and her awful friends by your own doing, and you've chosen to not hang out with anyone else that might have a modicum of substance to them, and you're acting like this is just completely not your own fault. And maybe you're just a terrible person and that's why you're around terrible people. Or maybe if you actually spoke the fuck up and like demanded that people around you treated others with some respect, then maybe you would be around some people that had more than 2 brain cells. And then this dumb bitch really says like, we had a connection, and then happens to look at Sam in the eyes for like multiple seconds and then looks away with this pained expression like, oh no, it couldn't be her. So then Sam makes this deal with Carter that she basically completely broke from the get-go and seemed to have no intention on actually following through with. But she goes, if you tell Shelby it was you, I'll tell Austin it was me, and they make a deal. Carter ends up telling Shelby it was him, and he has just riz to no limit. The way he tells her is just like, Shelby, baby, like he just fucking slays. And then Shelby lets him down in a super condescending, awful way, even though she apparently was like so digmatized by the makeout session they had. But the second she finds out it was him, she's just like appalled because he hums show tunes or something. So, you know, he's a nerd, and therefore like she can't possibly actually be attracted to him. Just everything goes away. So Sam's acceptance letter to Princeton comes in, but Fiona like forges a rejection letter basically, and this really sinks in of how evil she is. So she really like takes away Sam's light at the end of her tunnel to just keep her working like a slave for her forever. Hi, editing me here. I forgot to mention this in the video, but also, what is it with these super smart characters that if they don't get into their dream school, they basically have no plans of going to college at all. Like, they seem to never have any safety schools. They never apply to, like, any other challenging school. Like, she's in California. She could go to USC. She could apply to Stanford. She could apply to Berkeley. She could apply to, like, any other Ivy League thing. And I get that that was, like, the school that her dad wanted her to go to or whatever. But it's like, girl, you're so smart, but you didn't set up any other safety net? You didn't apply. Like, you could go to Yale. You could go to any other place that's also far away. Like, you didn't apply to anywhere else. I felt the same way about, it's like Cody Martin in friggin' Sweet Life on Deck when he gets rejected from Yale. And it's like, do y'all geniuses really have such tunnel vision that you really don't think of applying literally anywhere else? It doesn't even have to be a super safe school. There are so many other challenging schools that you could have a shot at getting into. Sam comes super close to telling him at the diner. Fiona cock blocks once again, and then he leaves. She could have just blurted it out, honestly. Like, I don't get this whole thing of like the preemptive silence and we have to have the exact right moment. Like, just fucking spit it out, bitch. Spit it out before they leave. Then the stepsisters find Sam's emails that she really does not do a good job of hiding at all. Literally, her stepsister's like at the door and she just leaves her inbox open. Like, hello, you're supposed to be smart. Again, Austin's supposed to be smart too, to the point that he gets into fucking Princeton, but you literally cannot recognize that this bitch has the same facial features, same everything features as the person you're supposedly in love with, but you literally made eye contact with her and didn't get it? Looked into the supposedly so beautiful eyes that you were so enamored with, but completely don't. So either you're super stupid or you're a fuckboy or both, and I think it's both. So yeah, the stepsisters find out that Sam's Cinderella. They take the emails to Shelby and pretend that Sam was like purposefully trying to steal Austin away from her. Then Shelby like so seriously says, the little boyfriend stealer thinks she can pull a fast one on me. And I feel like I'm in iCarly being like, who says pull a fast one? So then they have they give this message to the PA girl who apparently never goes to class. She just like lives in the radio booth and reads this message supposedly from Austin, and then Austin doesn't even recognize that he didn't send this message, and we have no acknowledgement from him of like, what the fuck, I didn't write that. So that was an interesting thing to exclude. But basically says for Sam to meet him after this pep rally, and then they have the pep rally, and then the cheerleaders launch into this like awful, super just cruel skit, reading their emails and just completely mocking Sam. and making her just the butt of the joke and revealing that she was Cinderella. And then Austin looks at her and then looks away in pure disgust as if she did something to him. Also, side note, how were the cheerleaders able to do this without any approval? The fact that they were able to carry this all the way through, like, no staff member had to approve this skit to go into the pep rally, like, or once they realized it wasn't approved, no one stopped them. Like, they were just able to carry on through. Like, I remember in high school, in this assembly, where people were giving speeches for, like, class president or vice president or whatever, and this girl brought up this dude to do a rap and hadn't been approved by the staff members and the faculty, and she literally got suspended for bringing this dude on to do a rap that hadn't been approved. And also they tried to say that she was using racially insensitive material in her campaigning posters because she used Chinese characters when she herself was Chinese American. That was a whole clusterfuck. If you fucking went to my high school, you remember that shit. But one of the main reasons was because she used something that hadn't been pre-approved in this assembly. So, like, that shit is not taken lightly. So the fact that, like, we're just acting like the faculty had no control over what is presented in this pep rally was crazy to me. Like, that's not how high school works. And then, like, reason number 367 why Austin Ames is trash, the fact that he basically goes back to Shelby after this. The girl that literally just publicly humiliated you, read your emails, also read your messages out in front of your dad and in front of everybody, and revealed that you didn't want to go to USC, you want to go to Princeton, blah blah blah. Which, by the way, Shelby, how the fuck did you think that was going to get him back to you? The fact that she thought that was crazy, but apparently it worked. Apparently crazy works with Austin, because he rejoins the circle and basically associates himself with her again. I guess they're not officially back together, but the fact that he, like, lets himself in the same room as her is crazy, especially considering Sam, he doesn't even, like, talk to her. He basically shuns her, tries to write an email to her and just deletes it. Like, he's so torn and feels betrayed by her for absolutely no reason when she did nothing to him and was the person that was hurt in front of everybody. So Austin's a little bitch boy who acts like Sam did something to him exactly when she was the one who was humiliated, and he just has no idea what to say to Sam because he just doesn't even know her anymore when we had a connection, even though you literally couldn't recognize her when she was standing right in front of you. So, and then we get two of just absolute serving the house down mama queen boots message, like, just slays, just absolute slay fest. This is such brain rot that I'm saying, but just, like, complete diva behavior from Sam in basically back-to-back scenes. One, the quitting scene at the diner with Fiona, period, absolutely amazing. Everyone quits on Fiona. She ends up living with Rhonda and moving in, and then she goes to the game and was like, I need to do something. She was like, I gotta do something tonight. And so then she goes into the locker room and goes up to Austin, and this shit was so iconic. She reads him down and just goes like, you are a coward and you're a phony. And he goes, oh, listen. It's like, oh, now you want to talk to me. Now you want to talk to me. After you spent probably, it seems like, at least days pretending she didn't exist as punishment for something she never did to you. And she goes, no, you listen. Period. She goes, like, it was me that was humiliated in front of everyone. Okay? She doesn't say it like this, but, like, you're acting like I did something to you. I never pretended to be anyone else besides who I am. And I didn't come here to yell at you, but I know that the guy in those emails is there somewhere, the guy that quotes Tennyson to me or whatever, but I can't wait for you. And I know things are going to be okay, and I know who I am, and I was afraid to be who I am, but I'm not afraid anymore, and you're clearly still very afraid, and I'm not going to wait for you, and I'm done with you. She basically was just like, I'm done with you, walks out. It's just oh my god, it's such a slay. And I remember as a kid, like, not fully understanding, like, why she was so mad at Austin. And then I look back now and I don't understand how I could have not understood why she was so mad at Austin. I think I just, like, my internalized misogyny at 5 years old was kicking in. And I just, like, assumed that he had some reasonable explanation for being mad at her or feeling betrayed by her, when in reality, like, he's just a fucking idiot. Like, Sam is such a legend. I look back now and I'm like, there is an argument to be made for her being, like, a Mary Sue type character, but it doesn't even matter because she's such a legend. And yeah, he is a coward. He friggin' goes back, basically, except like in every way except in name, to the girl that publicly humiliated him and the girl he was apparently so infatuated with until 5 minutes ago because he's a spineless weasel. I also, this is a kind of random side note, but like, I wonder if Austin Ames was the first major example of super generically attractive popular guy who actually seems really dumb somehow manages to get into an Ivy League school trope. Let me know if you can think of any other examples. The other one I can think of is The Kissing Booth with frickin' Noah, I think. That's his name? Yes. Who gets into fights all the time but somehow gets into Harvard. I don't know. So anyway, the big game is there. Austin's on the field. His dad walks up to him and just drops some more completely unnecessary pressure and is just like, hey, instead of, I'm going to give you a pep talk, but instead I'm just going to remind you that your entire future is riding on this and everyone's counting on you and you have to be perfect. Okay, bye. In case we forgot, he's living vicariously through his son and he does not give two fucks about his feelings or his emotional state or want to place himself into the shoes of this kid that has having so much pressure placed on him for pretty much no reason. And then we get into the football game and Hear You Me by Jimmy Eat World, and it's just so freaking good. And then we have the amazing scene of Austin running off the field, running after Sam because she starts to leave the game. The scene is so good, but then they kiss, and as an adult looking back, I just feel so bad for both of them having to do this kiss scene because Hilary Duff was like 15, I think maybe 16, when this movie was being made, and Chad Michael Murray was like 22. And that's just so fucking disgusting. I feel so bad for both of them. I think I might actually feel worse for Chad Michael Murray being 22 and having to kiss a 15-year-old for your job. Like, oh my god, how are you not like just dying? It's like my skin would be crawling. Oh my god. So anyway, Sam finds her father's will that he apparently never left in the storybook that's been sitting in her room this entire time, but she just happened to like throw it in the certain angle that made it fall out, I guess. Even though they were like reading it that night that he died, and I guess it was just tucked in there like the whole time. But Sam finds the will, discovers that her father left everything to her. Basically, Fiona gets arrested for some kind of fraud. I forget exactly what kind of fraud. My background is so uneven now. Hold on. And then I don't know how Sam ended up finding out that she actually did get into Princeton, but she's able to recover her original acceptance letter, which I guess maybe email acceptance wasn't a thing then, and it was like all about only physical letters. But yeah, another Cinderella Story with Selena Gomez also has this trope, but by then it's like 2008, and there's like, I am almost certain that email acceptance was definitely a thing. Would physical letters really have been the only way that you find out whether or not you get into a school? But maybe you're not allowed to have a computer. I don't know. I'm overthinking it. But yeah, her stepsisters are able to find her letter in the trash. But by then, I'm pretty sure like weeks had gone by. And so it's kind of funny that it would even still be in the trash. But yeah, it's interesting that she even knows that there is a letter to be found. Sam realizes she owns everything and ends up co-owning Hal's with Rhonda. And Fiona ends up working at the diner with both of the girls to pay off their debt to society. Well, I guess the girls don't have to pay off their debt to society, but like their mom doesn't have anything anymore, so they probably just have to actually work for a living now. And then Carter ends up with, I think her name's Emily, the broadcaster DJ girl. And Shelby tries to come back onto him and he's like, no, and ends up with her, and that was great. Again, we don't know what happens to Terry. What happened to my man Terry? And then Austin and Sam end up going to Princeton together, even though, again, Austin's intelligence is questionable in my opinion. This movie, in short, I just put, this movie makes me wish that I got my ADHD treated sooner so I could have done better in high school, LOL. So, overall, I love this movie, even though I realize there are so many questions to be asked about it, and Hilary Duff stays an icon to the end. So that is basically the end of my thoughts and opinions and observations about A Cinderella Story, and I got through that very, very passionately. I talk so fast when I'm like, I get into something. So let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know if there are any other movies that you want me to check out, and if I haven't seen them, I might just end up watching them and giving you my thoughts. I don't know. I like talking about movies. It's one of those things that if I feel like talking about it, I enjoy it. I have a few that I might also talk about, mainly K-pop Demon Hunters. I really do need to make a video about that. So thank you again. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing to enjoy my random hodgepodge of content whenever I feel like making it. And I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I hope I see you next time. Bye!